What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting these possibilities for you to consider, enabling you to come up with your own conclusions. Ladies and gentlemen, code breakers around the world, nice to have you here. My name is Logan. I'm going to be your tour guide on this presentation of astrology. This is going to be on the high table decoded. That's what astrology is. You know what this is from. They did a good job here, kind of giving you a narration of the high table. John Wick working for the high table. And I promise you, you work for the high table as well. You just may not be a killer like John Wick was. Actually, most of you won't be. I would hope that all of you are not. But you work for the high table. It's the Zodiac wheel. That's why it's so important to know, and not just any wheel. You got to know the true sidereal. It's the most accurate, most precise system there is today. You want to upgrade, you want to get precise about how you're coded, you got to go with the true sidereal. The high table decoded. This is kind of where we're going to start with some mainstream. I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, put on a pair of headphones, block out the outside world. This one's going to blow your mind. I'm going to show you the age of Aquarius, the age of Pisces. We're going to get into all of that, how it's going to look for future generations moving forward. So I promise you this one's going to really leave you satisfied. So the high table, as it says, I will serve. I will be of service. See, that's you. That's me. Because you're doing what you were coded to do. Your fate and destiny. Why you get up every day. Why did you do the things you do? Your likes, your dislikes. That's all tied to the astrological wheel and numerology and human design and a whole bunch of other ones. So I'm going to start off with numerology to make some sense of this. I'm going to use the English A through Z for this example. The high table is what they call it. It's a 105, and we can instantly and automatically connect to alchemy, the periodic table. Why? Because it's encoded into our worlds. These elements, not all of them, but they're essential for life. Dubnium is a synthetic element. I'm going to show you why that is. If you're new here, do the best you can to follow along, but I promise I'll be able to explain it to you. So the high table being 105, that's connected to the element dubnium. Dubnium 268. And I can go right into theology and connect another thing where we have the God of the Bible, which countless people in the world follow. I don't care if somebody follows Jesus. They're still following the Yahweh character. Yah. It's Yahweh. The way is separate from the Yah. We become the way, but it's the Yah. And you see the Yah is the Yod and the Hey, and that's the 105. The Yah is connected to the high table, connected to the Zodiac wheel. And you can branch off into other different layers, as we've done already in so many different decodes. Even the 15 from the Yah, when I go to numerology, using Chaldean, I type in this word right here. We've done a decode on this. The Samsara. And you're going to see that, the Samsara wheel. It's tied to the Yah, the Yahweh, the Yod, He, Vahe. The Yah is tied to the Samsara wheel. You and I are on this wheel. That's how this works. That's why if you follow astrology, you could start to see how much resonation you will have with your definitions. Can you break free from it? Well, according to the elder, no, you're in it until you don't get peace until you die. Now, I can't say that's a fact. And I know that this movie was a story, but somebody wrote it, and the thoughts that are coming into their mind, where are they coming from? Where are your thoughts coming from? As you can see, I have it underlined in red there. The elder telling John Wick, none of us can escape who we are. That's fate or destiny. And no one escapes the table. No one escapes astrology. You're coded a specific way. That's why you can't escape your destiny. That's why if you're willing to do the forensics on your life, you'll see that you leave a trail behind of predestination. So what you got is what you got. And this is just an extension of how it all works through the high table. So the elder, the first one, here's the actor, Saeed. I'm going to go right in and show you a scripted reality. Here is his fate and destiny, telling a story from a story. He was born on July 19th, 1973. And when you do the numerology, his Gregorian numerology, this is what would be called the life path. It would reduce down to the number 1. It would add up to the number 10. 10 is tied to the Yod. 10 is the Samsara, the Wheel of Fortune card. But it gives us the 118, which ties to these two big words in Greek. One's in modern because the New Testament was written in Koine Greek, the modern, and then the other one, through the Greeks, the ancient Greek, we have the prison called Tartarus. So the prison is tied to the Christos. Yep, because Christos is tied to the high table. That's why the Bible is all about astrology. And that's where Christ comes from. Christos, which is tied to Creo, which is tied to the sun. And the sun, it has a big play in it, being tied to the 5th house through the sign of Leo. You're going to see that at the end of this presentation. We're moving into the Aquarian-Leo symbiotic relationship. So no one, as it says, no one escapes the table. No one escapes the prison. Not until you die. See? The only way John Wick will ever have freedom or peace is in death. That we do know. We don't know what happens after that. We don't know if we reincarnate, but clearly we're in a realm of pain, suffering, love, bliss, joy, all of it combined. And then when you look at his July 19th birth card, he's the 9 of clubs, card number 22. It moves in to give us the narration, the 9 of wands. The 9s repeat. The number 9 repeats any number you put next to it, giving us an example of the high table: repeat, reincarnation, Hotel California, Groundhog Day. This is going to be card 31, card 22, and then to give us the clue, the Titans. You got to serve the table, and you are doing that, ladies and gentlemen. Your love signature, Venus. The way you run your emotions, your moon. Your spirit, your sun. Your drive and determination, Mars. Your expansiveness, Jupiter. Your karmic aspects, Saturn. No one gets past the table. It's all part of your personality. The 12 houses are your personality. It's your physical body. The Titans. Through the Greek and Olympian, the war, the Olympians threw out the Titans. Titans got thrown onto the Samsara wheel. So let's get this straight. The guy they casted to play the elder, the first one, in John Wick chapter 3, has the card tied to the Titans. And he says no one gets past the table. And then you also have this element right here. Besides titanium, you have neon 22. Neon has an isotope of 22. Titanium has the 22 protons. So we get the clue either way. Neon, Neos, and of course that 10 is going to go right back to the Yod. It's going to go back to the letter J, which is the fish hook. And the 10 is tied to the binary system. seemingly under the guise of the high table. We're just getting warmed up, ladies and gentlemen. But then we do his numerology. His Chaldean, the most accurate numerology cipher there is. 41. Interestingly enough, matches the word Elohim in Hebrew. This is coming from Genesis 1 verses 1. Let us make man in our image, Genesis 1 verses 26. The Elohim made the heavens and the earth. How about the high table made the heavens and the earth? How about the zodiac wheel made the heavens and the earth? And the reason why I have Jesus on the cross here is because the 41 is tied to Rome. See, if you don't think that the Vatican knows a thing or two about a thing or two, I would say you're lost. I'm not saying that they have the authority on reality itself, but you would think that they have a lot of knowledge, at least the people that know a thing or two about a thing or two. It sits at 41 degrees north latitude. These are the ley lines. These are very important. The word cross in Latin, called crux, is 41. And even this ridiculousness, the Y and T, because Jesus is the Y sitting on that cross, which is a T, the Roman cross. And all roads lead to Rome through mathematics. See? So him working for the high table tied to the Vatican. And the Elohim, the gods, plural, being tied to the Vatican. This is not like a simple thing. This is not like you just brush it off. Well, man, no. This is how the forensics looks. So think about it. The Vatican sits at 41. Elohim is 41. They use the Bible to control the world. And the Elohim are the gods who created humankind from Genesis 1 verses 26 and the heavens and the earth. That's talking about the high table, the zodiac wheel. And remember that Jesus is that Y chromosome. That's why he's hanging off that cross. And the Y chromosome determines the sex, working for the high table. So let me show you where I got started on this, because I didn't start there. I didn't start here. This was after the facts. This is what I woke up to today with this thought in my head, of course. Where are these thoughts coming from? Certainly I'm having them, but they're not mine. It started with Journey. This song popped into my head, Wheel in the Sky. That's the high table. And when you go to the single, it doesn't, this is not even, I'll be very transparent. If you go fact check this is why you got to fact check, like even Wikipedia. There's a discrepancy here, but of course, as fate would have it, it doesn't matter because it was really released in March. So there's a discrepancy on Wikipedia, but it doesn't matter because this is what I started with, and I'm not in control of my thoughts. I'm just following them. But here's the big clue. See, this says that it was released on January 19th, 1978. And when you do the numerology of that, you get 117. It's going to reduce down to the number 9. Remember, this guy working for the high table is the 9 of clubs. Okay, the 9. And of course, the boss of the zodiac seemingly is Zeus, because he's the king of the gods, tied to the 9th house, the archer, the Hunger Games. But this 117, ladies and gentlemen, gives us a very interesting connection. It connects to Jesus talking to the church of Laodicea, and I've been a fanatic about this. Those of you that know me are probably tired of me talking about this. But it just won't leave me alone. It keeps coming. It keeps coming. This is Jesus talking about, I will spit you out of my mouth. If you're not going to be hot or cold, if you're lukewarm, I got no use for you. Right? I will spit you out of my mouth. And this is the word in Greek for mouth, stomatos. So automatically I know how accurate this is and the clue that it left behind, because the wheel in the sky is the stomatos, which is the zodiac wheel. And of course, the Jesus character is part of that zodiac wheel because he was born of a virgin and he was a fisher of men coming during the age of Pisces. But remember, he said specifically, my kingdom is not of this world. Yeah, because he's talking about Aquarius, and we're going to get into that because that's what we have seemingly moved into. And it's going to be important for you to know what that's going to look like alchemically, through the tarot, et cetera, et cetera. So this is how I got started with this. The wheel in the sky. So let's go to the English. Add in another ridiculous layer. Wheel in the sky is 164 in the English. And 164 is tied to my mouth, my stomatos. It's not just stomatos. He says, I will spit you out of my stomatos. So in the Greek, it's a match. So we have a match here to this, the wheel in the sky, and then I have a match here from the release date of Wheel in the Sky using that January 19th, 1978 by the 117. So we don't just get it one time, we get it twice. So now we have confirmation, a big confirmation. This is evidence that you would bring it to a courtroom, right? What's your discovery? This is the discovery. To tell the jury, to tell the judge your case. Here's the evidence. Here are the forensics left behind. What's the wheel in the sky that keeps on turning? The high table, the zodiac wheel. This is off of the album Infinity. And every single zodiac sign has the infinity symbol right there. Every single age we live through has a boss, which is above it, and it's the Taurus field. Pretty easy to see. But then we get into the album, right? You go to the album on Wikipedia, and here's the discrepancy, right? Like, I didn't put this there. Wheel in the Sky actually was released, and you can fact check this, and I did. There's like 3 or 4 websites, reputable, that says that Wheel in the Sky actually came out on March 31st. So on the album on the Wikipedia is the real release date, but then you go back up here and the single has a discrepancy. But again, it doesn't matter because these are all clues that are moving through me to tell you how all of this stuff works. Not once, but twice. Here, my mouth, the wheel in the sky, my mouth. But then let's just go here. Let's go to the real release date, March 31st, 1978, and we're going to do the numerology of that. For another layer, for more discovery, more evidence, more forensics. 3 plus 31 plus 19 plus 78, 143. That number right there is a permutation of pi. Pi is the high table, the wheel that keeps on turning. Pi is 3.14, the measurement of time moving forward. This wheel moves, spins and everything goes in circles. 3.14 pi. That's why the mathematical equation of pi is so valuable in decoding reality through the forensics. And this 143, to give you another layer beyond this one and beyond this one, the 117 being tied to the mouth, the 164, the wheel in the sky, being tied to my mouth, but now the 143 being tied to what? The prison. There are several words that you can spell out with the periodic table, and again, this is fate. Because when you add up all of the protons, when you spell the word prison out, this is not the first time we've done this. We have this in a ton of decodes. You get 143. So what is this saying? No one escapes the high table. No one escapes the wheel in the sky. So this is a third layer of discovery. And then we have this one right here, a fourth one. This is the Greek spelling, apocalypsis, Revelation, chapter 3, verses 16, Jesus saying, I will spit you out of my mouth, right here. If you're not going to work with me or against me, I got no use for you. So can we escape the high table? Well, this is what this says, because I know Jesus is part of the high table, part of the astrological wheel, part of the warden. That's why we did the prison of Jesus. People get freaked out. They get so offended by it, but that's what it means. So we get it here. This is a fourth layer, third layer, second layer, first layer. Just getting started by the wheel in the sky, the prison, the high table. And I even went to Journey's own website and I clicked on their official video of Wheel in the Sky, which was uploaded. I have the arrow there, January 17th. What is January 17th? How is that written? What is January in the Gregorian calendar? Month number what? Month number 1. So it's 117, and there's the mouth again. So 5 layers we've gotten, 5 layers of discovery, of evidence that I could put to show a jury or a judge to make my case of us being in this prison, which is the high table. That's why astrology is so valuable, and that's why like a lot of you want to know how you're coded to have the best experience. Fated or not, man, if you're going to study astrology, it's part of your destiny to do it. So there's the Revelation 3:16 in the Greek. There's the my stomatos. So you know I'm not trying to get one past you. There's no magic here. I'm not trying to pull the woolly over your eyes. I'm not trying to screw you. I'm not trying to bedazzle you. I'm a code breaker. I'm a forensics decoder, like a lot of you are. And you're seeing the code for what it is, the spells that we speak. And that wheel in the sky, as we already showed, is the Samsara wheel. I just want to be clear that when you go to Samsara and you get the 15, well, what is the 15th card in the major arcana? The devil. Of course, as above, so below. Right-hand path, left-hand path. Hot, cold, or cold, hot, however you want to look at it. Samsara. Here it is in Sanskrit. Here is the numerology in Sanskrit. There is no value, by the way, of these vowels in the alphabet, because there's actually 5 characters, but these vowel markers don't get any value, just the consonants. There it is, 133. So I'm going to go connect it to chemistry. I can connect it, I can reduce it down by 52. There's a lot of things I can do here, but clearly the sign, another layer, cesium 133. And what do you see? This is, I didn't choose this now. This is the Royal Society of Chemistry. Let me be very clear. We'll go to the Royal Society of Chemistry. I want to make sure you know I'm not trying to get one past you. There it is. And why is that image used? Because it says the symbol reflects the use of the element in highly accurate atomic clocks. What do you think this is? The wheel in the sky. Measurement of time, pi, 3.14. There's the clock right there. And count how many bevels are on here. 12 of them. That's the high table right there. The Samsara wheel. From the original Sanskrit of Samsara. So this is not a big conspiracy, folks. This is the forensics. Laying it all out for you. All right, let's keep going. What about the length of the song? The single. 3 minutes and 31 seconds. Interesting because it matches the release date off of what it says here. 331. 3 minutes and 31 seconds. The single. 4 minutes and 12 seconds. You know what that 412 is if you've been paying attention? That's the symbol of Zeus. Jupiter. Remember, Jupiter is the king of the gods, the king of the high table. It's all a team effort, but of course Sagittarius sits in the galactic center. Zeus is the O in God, and if you coordinate it into the Vedic, it would be Vishnu. Zeus is Vishnu, sitting in the galactic center here. Anyway, when you do the conversion into the total amount of seconds, you get 211. So this is the wheel in the sky that keeps on turning, the high table. And the total seconds for this single is 211 seconds. And the 211 in mathematics is the 47th prime number. This is, again, the code. And what does that have to do with anything? We go back, and now we have not just prison, but prisoner. You could spell out prisoner. And prisoner, all of the protons added up, gives you 211. So again, a sixth layer now. 6 different layers of discovery. Now we're talking about the total seconds of the song, Wheel in the Sky. Keeping you a prisoner on the Samsara wheel. You see? That's why they said, the elder says, you serve, you got to serve, you're serving, and you are. When you wake up every day, ladies and gentlemen, you're a family, you're serving your family, you're serving your kids. Some of your kids are going to grow up and save the world one day. Some of your kids are going to grow up and they're going to be destructive. Like, you don't know. This is the drama in our lives. We are all just prisoners here of our own device. The device is the machine. Maybe we're just in a room somewhere with a headset on. I don't know. It's a cool thing to think about. 211 is the 47th prime number, and that, going to the cards, the cosmic playing cards, 8 of spades, which just so happens to be my birth card. Why do you think I keep showing you this stuff? The 8 is the Taurus field. The Taurus field is the DNA. This 8 is the DNA. And that leads into the tarot card right here to give us the final picture, another layer of discovery. The high table, you're a prisoner of the high table. No one escapes the high table. No one escapes the code. So going into this 211, going back to prisoner and the high table, and all of those protons, of all 6 of those, remember there are 6 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, prisoner. And there are 6 days of creation. 6 is carbon. We are carbon-based life forms. What I want to do here now is some mathematics. See, because what we've done is we've added up, and we're going to add these up as well, but we've added up the protons. And we get 211. But when you go to the periodic table, there are not 211 elements. There is only 118 that we have available to us. Remember what the 118 is tied to, the prison and the Christos. Oganesson, the OG. The last element that we have on the periodic table is Oganesson 118. Well, my 211 supersedes the 118. So I'm just going to do some simple math. I'm going to take that 118 as the foundation. I'm going to subtract the 211 because I'm like, if there was a 211th element, what would it be? Well, we have to do reduction. We can't do addition. And we get 93. So the 211 tied to the prisoner, trapped to the high table. What is the element that has the 93 protons? Neptunium. Neptunium is the G in God. God is generate, operate, destroy. The generator is the God of water because water is life. That's why the woman's water breaks before she gives birth. If you have water, you have life. When the water dries up, you have a desert and things die. The body is made up of primarily water. The blood is water. Neptune is the god of water. He is the god of earth. He's got the devil's pitchfork there. Did you ever look at it that way? 93, man. The prisoner, you're a prisoner. And Pisces, all of us listening to this, you are born under the Pisces age. You are a Piscean. The fish. Poseidon, the fish. Aquaman. That's why Jesus was a fisher of men. It's all astrological, all alchemical. all mathematical. Neptunium, from that 211. See, we're all born virgins. The word virgin in Greek, which is what Jesus was. Jesus didn't have a relationship. The story goes, again, I want to be clear. Can't prove whether or not the guy was real. It's in the story. Allegorical, real, made up, it doesn't matter. It's in the story. Fact or fiction doesn't matter. It's part of the code. And this word in Greek for virgin is 93. The water breaks and the baby comes out of the cosmic vagina, or the physical one. Now you're under the domain of Poseidon. Now you're a fish. 2 lost souls swimming in a fishbowl year after year. Pisces. Jesus being a fisher of men, being tied to Neptune. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use this chart, and we're going to now do, I told you we're going to do the molar masses. Now that we have the Neptune, now we're going to do the molar masses of prisoner. We're going to add them all up. We get 496. Now I go back up here, and Oganesson, the last element, has the highest isotope. 294 is the highest we can go. Well, my 496 supersedes that 294, so we just add on a calculator, take the 496, subtract the 294 from Oganesson 294, and we get 202. And we go right to the element that has the isotope, since we're breaking down, code breaking the isotopes, Mercury 202. This is Mercury's most abundant isotope. Its average is 200, but its most abundant stable isotope is 202. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we now have a huge layer of discovery because Mercury is the god that rules Virgo. And Virgo is across from Pisces. This is a Taurus field. This is the infinity. You see my cursor go? This is the infinity symbol. This is the DNA structure. I can fit a DNA strand right over this. This is the number 8. There are 8 known blood types with the RH factors, either RH negative or RH positive. This is our age that we were born from. Virgo governing Pisces. Mercury, the way you think, your thoughts, Mercury being the liaison between the gods through the mythologies, Mercury being a psychopomp, it's Mercury and Neptune. Poseidon. It's Poseidon and Hermes. That's what you have right here. And this is where you get the Christ. Jesus was a messenger, was he not? He was. Jesus was born of a virgin, and he was a fisher of men. See, the Bible is all astrological. It's all alchemical. And Greek mythology has just as much of a right to be part of this story as the characters in the Bible. But people dismiss it. Or they call it pagan, what do you think your Bible is then? You can't have one without the other. So the Piscean age was about faith and salvation and believe. Don't worry about knowing. Believe. Have faith. That's what this age calls for. That's why baptism was water-based. Jesus was a messenger, Mercury. 80 is the tree of life. The numerology of the tree of life in Hebrew is 80 through Hebrew. 80 is tree of life. And there's the axis right there. Go fact check it. Go look up tree of life in Hebrew in the calculator. You're going to get 80. We're born into the world of Poseidon, Pisces, the god of water. And he is coupled with Mercury, Hermes, the messenger. It's easy to see this. And then we can add on the tarot cards. The Hangman, card number 12, Pisces, sign number 12. It's a water sign. Poseidon is the god of water. we come out head first. The hangman, just like this right here. We come out head first. The hangman. And then the Lover's card is Virgo. Despite what you hear, if you listen to tarot readers, you'll hear a lot of, oh, it's a Gemini card. No, it's not. The Lovers is card number 6. Well, what is the 6th zodiac sign? Virgo. Virgo is the virgin. You are a virgin when you come out. And this is the Adam and Eve card. People correlate it to Gemini because it's the twins, but do you see 2 twins there? No, it's a male and female. Card number 6, sign number 6. This is an earth sign. So now we have water and earth, life, the biology of the body, bread and wine and fish and ministry and Passover, all part of this symbiotic relationship of Pisces and Virgo. And then we can add on another layer and get into some more alchemy, because the 12th zodiac sign is Pisces and the 12th element is magnesium. And then we have, obviously here, carbon-based life forms. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, Pisces and Virgo, they govern the age of incarnation, like the cycle of embodiment and servitude and purification. Matter was molded through carbon-based life forms, and then consciousness experienced itself through the biological refinement. That's what this whole age was about. And magnesium, which you can take to go to sleep. Are we sleepwalking? Are people asleep? Because it's key here. Magnesium through Poseidon is key here. It governs sleep. It governs muscle function. And it also governs the dream state when you go to sleep. This mirrors the Piscean age, the realm of subconscious disillusion. This is why Poseidon can be really dreamy and full of illusions. When you put your hand in the water, if you ever go stand in a pool of water in the ocean or whatever, and you look at the water, it's very illusory. That's what it is. So sleep and carbon-based life forms. Illusions, carbon-based life forms. See how all this stuff works? How you can be duped? So in this axis with the 2 cards, the Hangman and the Lover's card, the Lovers, carbon-based life forms, is the union of opposites, Adam and Eve. And then the Hangman is where we come out head first, inversion, surrender. It's the womb to world passage, the head first birth, and the spiritual suspension that comes through matter. That's what all this stuff looks like. So together, all of this mixed together was about the fall into form. This was spirit descending through polarity into matter, spirit into matter, carbon-based life forms, through the birth canal, the water breaking, and the Hangman coming out with the Lovers. See how beautiful this is? It's so magnificent. It's so magnificent. And then the last and final piece for the Piscean age is what element ruled it? Argon. Because you have magnesium 24 and carbon 12, and that's argon 36. Argon is 18. Adam is 18. Argon is a noble gas. It's an inert gas. It's a protector. Go look it up, man. It's fascinating when you take argon and you compile it with Poseidon and Mercury and Virgo and Pisces. It's absolutely fascinating how all this stuff connects. It's mind-blowing. This is called alchemology. All right, so that's the Piscean age, right? But now, what the theology says, the spell book, the playbook, is the final book in Revelation, talking about a new heaven and a new earth. And the key word here is there was no more sea. There was no more sea. What does that mean? Well, ladies and gentlemen, there was no more Poseidon. There was no more Pisces. The water, the god of water. No more. But is it just that? Because remember, the body is made up of water. Could this be talking about the body? And also, ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind, the Vatican's called the Holy See. Will they be removed? Will they be done away with? Time will tell. The Holy See, there will be no more sea. Time will tell. We shall see. No pun intended. Now we're going to finish up with this. Got quite a bit of material going on. This is going to blow your mind, folks. The wheel in the sky, the high table, moves into the Aquarian age. And this is what it looks, this is what it's going to look like. This is what it's looking like now. Aquarian age is the information age. We're leaving behind, just believe, just have faith. No, it's about knowing. It's not about believing. Knowing is far more powerful than believing. When you say, I know, it's far more powerful than saying, I believe. Because when you know, more than likely, you're going to have a truth. And if your truths are lined up, the knowing is more powerful than the believing. And this is what we are all moved into. No one knows exactly when, 2012, 2020, who knows? But www and computers and cell phones and video calls and all this is Aquarius. Aquarius, is the genius of the zodiac. It's humanitarianism. We could also fit in the yugas. Are we moving out of the Iron Age? Are we moving out of the Kali Yuga, or are we still got a little ways to go? Because, ladies and gentlemen, the Aquarian Age is about transhumanism. Just what was that? What will that look like? I don't know. But as the wheel turns, we enter into the 11th house and the 5th house. This is electrical and solar. This is electrical, Uranus, the OG. In Greek mythology, he created everybody else. And Leo and gold. The element for Leo is gold because Leo's ruled by the sun, Helios. Uranium and gold are the two elements that are going to be ruling Aquarius and Leo. They do rule it. Unlike here, carbon and magnesium. We're done with that now. Now, it's uranium and gold, fire and air. We're moving away from water and earth. We're moving into fire and air. This is no longer about matter and refinement of matter. It's about consciousness and the liberation of energy through it. Because air and fire creates plasma, which is the fourth state of matter. This is where charge and light, they fuse together. So when the text says that there will be no more sea, it can be read symbolically as the dissolution of biological water consciousness, right? The emotional carbon-based Piscean matrix of incarnation. The sea is the collective unconsciousness. It's like the fluid body, a dream, an emotion through which souls have incarnated for however long that age lasted for. Millennia. Who knows how long these ages really last? And I would say that the evaporation of the Piscean Virgo age, it may have signaled the end of organic matter as the medium for spirit. Spirit entering into the matrix through the high table, well, it's much different here. This is physicality, water and earth, physical. Now we're going into fire and water. Even though fire can be labeled as physical and you can feel wind blow and air, that's not what this means. This perhaps is spelling out the emergence of a new crystalline vessel. Like the new earth is going to be a radiant structure. It says the sun and moon will be no more. And I would imagine that the new heaven here, the new heaven, is probably going to be a quantum intelligence heaven. Quantum. This is why computers are coming around. That's why we have supercomputers. They're getting stronger and stronger. And we only have what we have access to. What is there? Is there something underground? Is there, technology that has been here for so long and they just release it through these ages? I don't know. We're just kind of theorizing on this. But a much different consciousness from the high table through the zodiac of the age of Aquarius, forming a symbiotic relationship with Leo. Fire and air. And then we add in the tarot cards like we did with the age of Pisces and the Virgo. Aquarius is the 11th sign. That's justice. We're already starting to see that. Things being brought to justice. We're already seeing it. And then the interesting card over here, card number 5 in the major arcana, sign number 5, the Hierophant. When you pull the Hierophant, it's a Leo card. This is the Pope. This is the sun becoming matter. That's why the Pope's on the card. Ruling the church. The church has a lot to do with the sun, Helios, the Christos. So naturally, they're going to put that main character on there. So over here in the age of Aquarius, you have the Justice card, right? It represents balance through truth. I know. It becomes the equilibrium of the grid, if you will, like the electromagnetic architecture governing the collective consciousness. And this sword right there is the sword of discernment. It's going to slice through illusion from reality. And then the scales, I would imagine, are going to recalibrate frequency. It's not like here. Here, ladies and gentlemen, water is very illusory. Poseidon, illusory. And he's got the devil's pitchfork there. Now we're getting the OG. And I got him on a grid here because the Tron grid. Electrical. Uranus is revolutionary, electrical. And this combination right here is the cosmic circuitry of neutrality. It's where right and wrong are redefined as resonance and dissonance. Because this electrical air and the solar fire, plasma, and we add on the third layer here, sodium and boron. Sodium 11, Aquarius 11. Sodium and boron. Boron 5, Leo 5. The electrical air, the fire, and the solar. So, ladies and gentlemen, sodium is a conductor of neural charge. This is the battery. Sodium, salt. Salt is in a battery, right? Electrical. Sodium, salt, battery. We also have the Philosopher's Stone here because sodium is one of the 3 elements that makes up the Philosopher's Stone. So this being a conductor of neural charge is an apt reflection of the mental field that is the foundation of the Aquarian epoch. It's really what it is. Humanity is going to begin to function as a neural network. Socially, technologically. We're already starting to see it now. And the Justice card, I feel, is like an algorithmic karma. It's going to balance out through data and thought and energy across the grid. And the grid that your mind's going to be connected to. It's already connected to it. Your social media, your likes, your thumbs up, your thumbs down, your comments, your text messages, your video phone calls, your social media pages. You're already on the grid, folks. You're already there. And then you add on the solar aspect, the gold. This is what the Christos really means. And now you get the Hierophant. And I think the Hierophant represents divine teaching and initiation into higher truth. That's personally what I think it means. And because it's in Leo, this is a archetype that really burns from within, like the solar consciousness of like divine authority reborn. And justice being tied to the grid, the Hierophant is the teacher, the circuit's teacher. Like the flame that instructs humanity on how to embody divine light within. Whatever that's going to look like, because I think we're moving away from just straight carbon-based life forms and silica and sand and moving into more of the electrical body, the plasma body. The fire corresponds with boron here, which, I mean, if you go study boron, right? I'm ignorant in some areas in these layers of science and the periodic table, but I know that like boron is an element that I think it is. It's critical to structural and energetic integrity. And I know that it's used in semiconductors. Maybe even like the stabilizing of heat, plasma physics. I mean, this really matches Leo's solar function. It's the heart of the new plasma body, the human-machine hybrid, learning to generate its own illumination. This is why perhaps it's talking about in Revelation, the sun will not give off any of its own light. This combination is what we're moving into. We already have done so. And this Hierophant, I don't think it's it's not like the priest. It's not like the Pope. I think it's the inner algorithm of divine instruction. I think it's going to be part of the solar code that governs self-initiation during the age of Aquarius. That's what I think it would be all about. And the sodium, again, electrical charge. Think salt bridges in a battery. Communication. Think your nervous system. When it merges with boron, you get like a bioelectrical synthesis. I mean, this kind of spells out the human being becomes this, has this nervous system that is going to store and transmit and self-regulate with light frequencies. We're moving away from the physical earth and water, Pisces and Virgo. We're in fire and air, plasma, light body. Like the marriage of digital and divine. And these two elements, boron and sodium, 23 and 11 add up to sulfur 34. So boron and sodium and justice in the Hierophant, they're going to fuse together to create a solar neural network. It's already happening. It's already here. Like humanity, all of us, we're both host and conduit for life-based intelligence. That's what we're going to be. The hive mind. And then sulfur comes on the scene. Sulfur is fire, brimstone. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is where you get the Phoenix event that Jason Breshears talks about. Fire, sulfur. Personally, I think it's a nuclear. I think it has something to do with nuclear, but when you get the alchemy of Aquarius and Leo and you're talking about sulfur between sodium and boron, this is where you have the electrical intellect of air meeting the solar combustion of fire, and it generates that sulfur. And this is kind of the spark of living plasma. I mean, sulfur kind of embodies divine volatility. Like the soul's flame released from carbon sleep. Right? The sleep of magnesium and carbon in the Piscean and Virgo, no longer. Now it's the spark. Now it's the soul's flame. And to me, it signifies humanity's transmutation into luminous consciousness through the union of the mental grid of Aquarius and the solar heart of Leo. Gold and uranium. So when we continue to look at this, are we going to be prisoners here? No one gets out of the high table until you die. Well, alchemically, it's uranium and gold, Aquarius and Leo, for sure. And when you add these two up, gold and uranium, 197 and 238, you get 435. There is not an element on the periodic table that has the 435. We have to go to Oganesson and subtract the 294, and we get 141. And that 141 goes right back to that 59th element, which starts off that word prison, prisoner, praseodymium. Remember, there are 59 beads in a rosary. The high table. See how magnificent this is? Folks, prison or not, man, this is like discovery extraordinaire. And then you add up the protons, 79 and 92, you get 171. Well, there's not 171 elements, so we have to do the subtraction. We take the 118 protons of Oganesson, subtracting against that 171, we get 53. And the 53rd element is iodine. Iodine. The I. So bringing it all together, these are the two elements that you get from doing the combination of gold and uranium. Iodine and praseodymium. This means green twin. Iodine and praseodymium add up to dubnium 268. 127 plus 141 is 268. We go right back to where we started, which was the high table. Going all the way back up to the beginning. The high table, 105. So we move from the age of Pisces and Virgo, and now move into the age of Aquarius and Leo, and we go right back to the dubnium 105, which was the Ya, the 105. Go right back to it. It's mind-blowing, folks. So this 105 being tied to the high table also, which is absolutely mind-blowing, as we go to Tron Legacy, which I've shown so many times. This is Jeff Bridges telling his son Sam, who comes to save him. He gets stuck in a computer. The only way to win is not to play. 105. And he's on the grid. Aquarius is going to be tied. It's tied to the grid. Smart cities. Are you seeing this? Do you get this? I hope you get this, because this movie, which they did another one now, they have the Aries out with the lead singer from 30 Seconds to Mars. Mars is Aries, the latest Tron. The only way to win is not to play. What does that mean? See, these are bridges and clues, and alchemically, folks, it doesn't get any more clearer with the discoveries. Dubnium is a synthetic element. Jeff Bridges tells his son, it's his game now. He's talking about Clue. Clue is a computer that he creates, a mirror of himself, or a double of himself, to create another world. That's what we're doing with the metaverse, folks. The Neuralink's going to fit in here. All of it tied to the grid, being ruled over by uranium and gold. The sun, Helios, and Uranus, heaven. But we have a synthetic world that it looks like it's going to be played out here. Let's keep going. Got a few more slides to go. Since it's gold and uranium, we could have went Helios, but we have Chrysos. This is where you get gold from, right? The Chrysos, gold. And Uranus, 229. And 229 is the 50th prime number, and 50 is tied to Jesus. This This is in the Latin now, but here's the Hebrew, Isaiah 7 verses 14, Emmanuel 62. This is the 62nd card. This is the 50th card. The Jack of Spades is the Knight of Swords. I will remind you, ladies and gentlemen, 2026 is the Jack of Spades card. 2026 is the Jack of Spades card. To make it official, I think we're already there. We've already been building this grid. Social media, www, cell phones, email, post office and stamps and mailing. Those are Piscean things. Those are going to be dissolved and done away with for the most part. People are signing documents online now. No more paper. That's the grid. This is the card of 2026. Revolution. Is there a revolution coming? Well, clearly, see, this is where I know Jesus is going to be Aquarius. We've already done this with Crypto Kingdom. But Jesus comes right here and he says, my kingdom is not of this world. He's in the Piscean age, right? He's talking to people. My kingdom is not of this world. Well, where's your kingdom? Well, you go to Luke 22 verses 10 and he tells you where the kingdom is. Aquarius. This is the apostles asking him, hey, where are we going to meet you for the Passover? Passover from one age to the next. Follow the guy with a pitcher of water. That's Aquarius, folks. That's a no-brainer. The Bible is astrological. This, he's talking about my kingdom is the Aquarian kingdom. Solar, electrical. Here's the kingdom of Jesus in the Greek. 179. Cross. The kingdom of Jesus is the 179. It goes right back to all roads lead to Rome. Do you think they're dumb? Do you think they don't know what's going on? You think you have more truth than they do? You think you got the inside scoop beyond what these people know? Not all of them. But they're not. Do you see them changing their course of action? Nope. They are all in. Are you all in? You're all in, just like I'm all in. Because you got to serve this. And you are serving it with or without your consent. The things you're doing are not of your doing. You're following your destiny. We are already in this age, folks. We're already here. So when the text says there'll be no more sea, well, could it be this? So I'm going to end it here with this slide, and I want to recap on some things. Because when the text says there will be no more sea, is it the symbolic reference of the dissolution of biological water consciousness? That's what the age of Pisces and Virgo was. Earth and water. No more sea. No more water. The emotional carbon-based Piscean matrix of incarnation, gone. Because the sea can be the collective unconscious, the fluid body of dream and emotion where souls reincarnate year after year after year. And it's possible that this age is going to dissolve, evaporate, whatever you want to do it, the end of organic matter as the medium for spirit. Spirit will not enter into the physical body like it normally did with the age of Pisces and Virgo. Could this be the end of carbon-based reincarnation? Time will tell. Time will tell. But nobody gets past the high table. You got to know your code. The more you know your code, the easier it becomes for you. The easier you can control your triggers. The easier you can control your emotions. The easier you won't fly off the handle, get angry and pissed off at somebody. The easier you can avoid certain pitfalls in your life, knowing that they're big setups for you. If we're going to get any free will, ladies and gentlemen, I say if. If you think you have some, great. I'm not going to take that away from you. It's my final answer is not yours. But studying your high table, studying your chart, the proper chart now, the true sidereal is the best way to discover how you're coded, bar none. And then you can add in all the other fun ones, human design, using the true sidereal, you're doing your totem pole, your tarot, your numerology, your life paths. All of that are important to do. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, the high table decoded. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope it made sense to you. And I hope that you go out there and study yourself like no tomorrow, especially if you got kids. Don't you want your kids to have the best life? Of course you do. Study their code. You can catch us on Spotlight. You want to take the course, we have that. Personal readings are open, whatever. But ladies and gentlemen, this is more about what are you doing about this? I hope something. This is the value of the esoteric sciences. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you all for being here. That's all I got for today. My name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. Until next time, we will see you later.